morning, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar of 2024. Joining us today is Jerry Manor, the Communications and Business Development Manager for SeaComm Federal Credit Union. Jerry, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. We are just trying to educate on finances and how companies and individuals can really protect their accounts. So thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Lisa. Happy to work with you, and this should be interesting. It's
going to be fun. It's going to be fun, Jerry. We're going to make this fun.
We will.
Also on the call with us today is Jessica, Michelle, and Sarah. They will be watching our Q&A, so please ask questions. This is the perfect opportunity. You have both Jerry and myself kind of held captive to really give you as much information out of the webinar that we can possibly do. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. Now, we know your time is valuable. We are only on a 30-minute webinar, and Jerry and I have lots of things to tell you. So let's get started. All right, so on the agenda is going to be just a little bit about Jerry and myself. We'll keep it very short. We're also going to talk about business account security with regards to how you can really secure your financial accounts and things to look out for. Jerry is the expert here, so he's going to explain all of that. He's also going to talk about some scammer tactics that people are using to get access to your money. And he's also going to talk about some best practice of just what to expect, kind of what to do always and what to do never. And that will kind of give you some guidance on protecting those accounts and what to look for. And then, of course, I will offer some help and answer any questions that you have. Okay, so a little bit about me, guys. I'm going to keep this very short. I am the CEO and founder of CST Group. We are a managed service provider. And ultimately what that means is we are companies' IT. So instead of you hiring an individual to take care of that for you, you ultimately hire my company and you get my entire team. We are headquartered in the Adirondacks of New York, and we also have an office in Southwest Florida. If you need to know anything more, please reach out to me and we will explain. So Jerry, you want to go ahead and give us a little bit about you?
Well, first of all, Lisa, this is a very good time to be in your Florida office.
Yes. True.
Yeah, I'm the Communication Business Development Manager at SeaComm, as you said. We started back in 1963 at the General Motors plant in Messina when there was a General Motors plant. We're a credit union, which is a little different from a bank. We offer the same services. However, we are not for profit, so we tend to charge less interest on loans, pay more interest on deposits, and we're very, very interested in educating both our membership and the community at large. We're all over the place now. We're nearly 60,000 members, $800 million in assets. So we've grown the past few years. We're branched throughout the northern tier of New York and part of Vermont. We're in Messina, Potsdam, Malone, Canton, Ogdensburg, Watertown. We're also in Plattsburgh. And then in Vermont, we're located in both South Burlington, Vermont, and Essex, Vermont. And we basically, with a credit union, you have to have a common bond with the other members. Used to be, you had to be a GM employee or a family member. Now it's community-based, which means we have counties, and you can see them listed there. So if you live, work, worship, or go to school in any of those counties, you can be a member.
Nice. Thank you, Jerry. So we've known each other a long time. Yes. And you are not only, and I think we have a common ground with education, right? I think you focus on educating people about anything financial, right? I think you're an expert at that, which is why we invited you here today. And CST really wants to educate as well. We just want people to make really great decisions when it comes to their technology. And I think you feel the same about when it comes to their financials.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we do a lot of these, and I'm the lucky one that gets to do them. I enjoy it, though. And yeah. I was a radio guy in my previous life, so I like it.
That is fantastic. Now, you are not only a friend and somebody we've known a long time, but you're also a client. So you have been with us a long time, and believe it or not, you are one of our residential clients. We just protect your systems at home. So you kind of have firsthand experience about what we do. So we appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you as well.
Good. All right, guys. So in creating this presentation, I asked Jerry for a few things that he sees in the financial industry. Jerry, there's some important aspects to keeping your accounts safe. So can you share just, I know we've got two things, that every business needs to do regularly. So can you share a little bit about that?
Well, you need to keep track. And, I tell this to individuals, to business folks, because, we're the set it and forget it mentality generation. We like not to have to worry about this stuff, but the key is you have to worry about this stuff. So account oversight is so important. In other words, keep track of your accounts. Make sure you know who has access at all times and look at it once in a while. Nowadays things are pretty easy because you have online access. You have the opportunity to go with your phone and look at your account. And, it used to be you got a statement once a month. Now that would drive me nuts. I couldn't do it. I have to look every day. And
Yeah.
that's me, because I know what can happen. So keep an oversight of your account. The other thing, as a credit union, a financial institution, make sure we have, or whoever your financial institution is, make sure they have your proper information. If something happens, we need to get a hold of you. We have systems where if we notice something that's a little out of line, you'll get, a message. In fact, it happened to me as an individual. I was up camping in the Adirondacks last summer, and I got a notification. Now, I was in an area where the cell coverage wasn't great, but I happened to get a notification when I turned my phone on to time my coffee pot. And seriously, it's true. It said my card had been used at eBay. I never shop at eBay. So it was breach. And I had to close that account. But before I did close the account, they were able to use the card for 3 transactions over $1,000. Now it's a Visa card, so zero liability as long as you report it. But if I hadn't seen it, how much more damage could have been done? So again, make sure you keep an eye on your accounts. If notifications are available from your financial institution, have them, make sure you get them. But here's the key caveat on that. When you get a notification from your financial institution, basically from anybody, be wary, because it may not be from us or them. Here's the thing. We will never ask you for any sensitive information. We have it. We already have it. All we'll do is ask you, was this you or not? We're not going to say, okay, we need your PIN. We need your, account number. None of that. So make sure that you're very careful about that. And again, back to the correct information. We need your correct information so we can reach out and make sure everything's accurate. And then when somebody leaves your company, make sure you take them off your account if they're on your account. You just want to make sure that everything is the way it is supposed to be, and look at it frequently and make sure it's right.
Okay. I know that for us, I am a little crazy. You know me well enough to know that I'm a little crazy about the financials, right? So I am one to really cautiously look often. And by often, I mean at least 3 or 4 times a week. I'm just evaluating with regards to, is everything looking good? Are those all transactions? And I think us having online access to accounts now. So is it safe, Jerry, for us to use our online accounts and access the bank via our online accounts? Do you believe that that is a safe way for us to really monitor the site?
It is actually safer than paper.
Okay.
And here's something which is really weird, and I want small businesses to look out for this. There's an old form of fraud that is resurfacing these days, and that's something called check washing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Can you explain what that is?
Basically, what happens is the crooks will steal checks that have been written. Say, for instance, you're going to pay your utility bill, and you write a check, put it in your mailbox, and then you don't think about it again. The check comes, or the crook comes wheeling by, sees the flag, and if you're a rural mailbox, will go and take the check and use a chemical to get the ink off, except for your signature, of course. And then they will write the check out to whoever they want, or they may have what's called a money mule who they share it with, and then the money mule uses their account to send the check through. But anyway, you have to watch out for that. Of course, the target audience are seniors because they still pay by check.
With a check.
So basically, and Lisa, you can talk to this, as long as you have good firewall, good virus protection, and you use good passwords, you're much more secure online.
Okay. I do know that that has been a concern with regards to how susceptible we are based on our geographical area, right? So people will, when I talk about security with people, they'll say, it's not going to happen to us. Who wants my information, right? We have no data, right? We have nothing to steal. When in fact, they have lots of information to steal, and especially you know, their financials, any account information. So you're finding that as well, right, Jerry? I mean, you're finding that people are just not thinking that it's going to happen to them, or
That's right. People think that, well, you know, I don't have a lot of money. The crooks are not going to go after me. Here's the thing, the crooks don't care because,
yeah,
believe this or not, a lot of these scams are automated.
right.
You know, I mean, it might be a text scam or it might be an email scam, which is called phishing. Text scam is called smishing, or the old-fashioned way on the actual phone, which is vishing.
Yeah.
And they call you up. But again, they do it to a lot of people. So even if they only get a little bit of money out of you, they're still happy. They will get money. And I'll tell you what, lots of losses because of this. It's really sad. Makes me mad, actually.
It makes us all mad. Okay, so here's some common small business scammer tactics targeting employees, and unfortunately, it's working. So small businesses are under attack, and scammers, and the typical scam steals about 8,000 every month, and often lasts for nearly a year before detection. So here's some tips that Jerry's going to give you of just things to watch out for.
Well, obviously, you know, invoices, if you don't have good invoice control, in other words, somebody with eyeballs on the invoice, you know, if they just automatically pay them, you're like ripe for being taken advantage of. You know, obviously be very skeptical of anything online, especially on social media. I think I read somewhere that 50% of those ads you see on Facebook are scams, or at least not what they say they are. People call you and claim to be the IRS or from Medicare or from wherever having to do with the government. And of course, you know what they do? They claim that if you don't take action immediately, something bad's going to happen to you, like you're going to get arrested or you're going to lose money or they're going to cut off, you know, whatever. And they have a million things that bad that's going to happen. But you have to remember that, you know, think before you act. This is so important. Never do anything immediately. You know, if you have a problem, call Lisa. Call us. Ask, is this a scam that's going around? Because we hear about these things and we can say, you know, don't do this yet. You know, even though they said you have to do it today, you don't have to do it today. It's just like when you go into a sales guy and they say, this offer is only good for today.
Exactly.
Oh, you know, don't let anybody make you do something on the spur of the moment, because chances are you're going to make a mistake. So think about it, sleep on it, don't make any moves. You know, if they say they're from the IRS, you have no way of knowing.
Right.
Plus, here's the deal, Lisa, the IRS doesn't call you.
Exactly.
Ever.
Exactly.
I mean, have you been able to ever get a hold of somebody at the IRS?
Yeah, never. Even when you intentionally try to talk to them, they don't answer the phone. The same holds true for the FBI. They're never going to call you.
No, nobody's going to call you. So if you receive one of those calls, I can almost tell you for sure it's a scam. It's just like when you get a check in the mail you're not expecting. Right. Chances are it's a scam. You know, if you won that lottery that you never entered, no, it's a scam check. What they want you to do is they want you to deposit it and probably give them a little bit of it. And they don't ask for much. You know, they send you a $10,000 check and say, you know, we only need $1,000 for taxes. Right. No. And the sad part, Lisa, is these scammers are good. I mean, they're good at convincing you. They're good at making fake checks. They're good at all of this. And of course, you know about the tech support scams, you know, where they call and say,
let's talk MGM, right? The MGM in Las Vegas truly got hit with a tech support scam.
They did. And what happens is, you know, this is Microsoft or this is Apple. And we've noticed your computer has, a virus in it. We would love to fix it for you. And then they want access to your computer. Once they're in, keys to the kingdom,
Yep.
you're toast.
Yeah.
You are toast. The social engineering aspect, and that's what we're talking about here, the immediacy. You have to do this now. If you don't do this, something is going to happen that's bad for you. So that's what they do. They socially engineer you. Plus, they also take advantage of your good nature, like for instance, the charity scams.
Yeah.
People are kind. They tend to be kind. They tend to feel bad for somebody who's in trouble. But again, be wary, be very, very careful. Phishing, that's the email. When you get the email, of course, you remember the old one, the Nigerian prince?
Yes.
That's been around forever, but they have a million of them and they're very effective.
Yes.
But here's what they're trying to do, especially if you're on the company email. What they want you to do is click on a link so that they can download malware into the system. This has happened so many times. And what they do is they're very clever. For instance, to use you as an example, Lisa, they would take your name and address and send it to one of your employees and say, would you do this for me? And it might be as simple as, paying a bill or all kinds of different things they can make you do. And because it's from you, I got to do it. It's the boss.
That's right. That's right.
So if you have a small business and you have a network and there are employees on that network, you need to do regular training with them. And I'm assuming that's something you can help with.
Right? I am pretty confident we can. And yes, it is almost becoming a requirement now, Jerry, with regards to security awareness training, right? Our cyber liability insurance providers are saying, look, you have to educate. You've got to let your employees know how to manage it, detect those that might be little happy clickers. So we truly try to identify what that is, and then we audit that entire process so we can identify them.
Yeah, so you have to watch out. And here's the thing, and I hate to say this, but you have to be skeptical all the time. Yeah. And you can't believe anybody. You can't take anybody at face value, unless you actually know them. And here's a little step you can do, and this is a simple step. So say your boss sends you an email asking you to do something. All you've got to do is call them and say, did you send me this email? It's the same thing personally. You get a text from your kids, hey, check out these pictures. May not be your kids. What you want to do is call them and say, hey, John, did you send me these pictures? Did you send me a link? He says, yes, you're good.
Right.
It's really important to, be very, very careful about all these things and be skeptical about everything. One little bit of thought can save you an awful lot of money.
Agreed. Okay, so one of the things that I just wanted to mention with regards to the social engineering. So we know that Facebook especially will oftentimes send out those little surveys, right? You get a friend request to play a game of answering some questions about yourself, right? What other states have you visited, right? How many times have you done this? Or and what I would encourage you to do is never to fill those out, because what's happening with that is they're collecting data about you. So if you give them certain information in that survey, that is being collected. Right? That's out there for the world to know.
That's right.
So please don't, with anything social engineering, please don't ever answer any of those or fill out any of those fun little games that Facebook will put out there. They're specifically there, not for the enjoyment, but to collect your personal information and to really get to know you. So please be cautious with that. And one other thing, and I know Jerry may be able to comment a little bit, is about AI, right? We're hearing a lot about artificial intelligence. And from my perspective on the tech side, and Jerry can maybe elaborate a little bit, is scammers are getting harder and harder to detect because they're sounding more American. Their verbiage, their language, they are taking words. So even during a phone conversation, right? So somebody calls you and they want to know, is this Lisa Brown? I never want to give them short answers because they're recording my voice to be able to put together sentences for other things. And I do have an example, but Jerry, are you guys seeing that in the financial industry where AI is taking some type of effect with regards to the security measures that you have to do?
It's just starting, but the scary part of it is using AI, these, gifted thieves. I hate to even call them gifted, but they are. They're very smart. Like you said, they can sound like me, or they can sound like you. And I mean, I'm at big risk because my voice is all over the place because I,
Yes,
the CCOM commercials and
yes,
the financial literacy radio stuff. But again, somebody calls you, you're not expecting, I mean, here's one that's out there. They ask you, can you hear me? And
yes,
the answer is yes, but you
yes.
didn't want to do yes. You say,
No,
I can hear you,
right.
and I've never actually heard of this, being used as a scam, but apparently it has in some cases. But it's kind of scary when you think about all the ways they're trying to steal your information. And here's a very hard truth, Lisa. No matter how good you are, there's no way you can totally protect yourself. And that's why vigilance is so important. That's why it's so important to keep track of your accounts, to look at them frequently, because even as good as you are, never clicking on links, there's still a chance you're going to get scammed. So the quicker you catch it, the better off you are, the easier it is to fix.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really want to make sure people understand is that they always have to verify the information, right? So I have a quick story. I was with a bunch of peers last week. Now we're talking IT firms like mine. Ultimately, we're competitors, but we're really not, just because of the geographical areas that we sit in. It was a couple hundred of us, and we share information. That's how we learn, and we're doing the cybersecurity stuff. And one of them had told me a story about a gentleman who truly received a phone call from his son. The son was desperate. He had said that he had been kidnapped. That he was crying. He was very upset. He was told to let him know that if he didn't respond by a certain amount of time, he was going to be hurt. And it sounded like his son. And the father panicked. It's his kid. His immediate response was, let me go and address it. What do I have to do? And they wanted money, obviously. And it was like $30,000. And the father immediately went into go mode of trying to make sure that everything was taken care of. He reached out to his daughter and said, look, I need to go to the bank. I need to go get money. Your brother has been kidnapped. And the daughter thankfully just said, Dad, like, did you call him? Like, I know did you call him? Did you call him? And the dad's like, no, it was his voice. It was his voice on the phone.
Yeah.
So why would I call him? And she's like, Dad, let's call him. Thankfully, it was AI. It was all AI generated. It was not his son. It was so that's how serious AI is going to become with regards to any type of recording of your voice, because they can spin it into making the words sound intelligent. So please be cautious with AI. Okay. All right. So some best practice. So along with presenting these risks, here's a few kind of best practices that are going to keep you and your bank account safe. So what can you do to protect your information and the bank and credit union accounts? So here's some nevers. Jerry, do you want to take over?
Yeah, obviously don't ever give out any information. And I'm going to say this again, never give out any information unless you initiate the contact. Somebody calls you, emails you, texts you, you have no way of knowing they're who they say they are, especially now with AI. So don't give anything out unless you initiate the contact. Don't act on an email, emails for anything. I don't believe emails for anything. Emails are good for setting up appointments.
Right.
That's it. You don't want to send any information. And again, if you're going to send personal identifying information over email, you better do it secured.
Yes.
You want to use secured email. I never use a debit card to make online purchases because the debit card is not as well protected as the credit card. It's a little bit different. Yes, Visa, MasterCard branded cards, there's zero liability. However, and this is the big however when it comes to debit cards, if they get your PIN, personal identification number, and steal that way, there's no reimbursement. That's the problem. With a credit card.
So Jerry, can you say that again? So if I use a debit card to buy something on Amazon,
okay,
and it's my debit card, I've made a purchase, but if somebody gets my PIN and they go and pull cash out, is that something the bank will cover?
Not usually, no,
Okay.
because the PIN, the PIN is the important thing. That's why if you're going to use a debit card at a point of sale transaction, use it as a credit.
Okay.
That's covered by the same policy as with credit cards, zero liability. Now they can make you pay up to $50, but nobody does. So in other words, if you use your debit card at, say, Walmart, and it's compromised, you're not liable.
Okay.
But if you, go to an ATM and somebody, is watching you put in your PIN, gets your PIN and steals your money, you could be out the money. Now, it depends on certain circumstances, but that's why, make sure when you're using an ATM, if at all possible, that it's in a building. You also, and this is another thing, is it can be tampered with, and they have skimmers, which will steal your information. Now, it doesn't steal your PIN, but they can make what are called clone cards and then use that to buy stuff. So if you see a card slot that looks like it's been tampered with, do not use it. Do not use it. Here's another thing, and I know you talk about this frequently, I'm sure. Password hygiene.
I cannot tell you how many times, and I'm sure people on this call today truly just use the same password over and over and over again, and with maybe some slight variations. We are trying to educate. That's this year's task. We do offer a password manager that lets us really develop some complex passwords without having to memorize them, because who is tired of memorizing passwords? We are, right? And it's overwhelming, and we don't want you writing them in a book. We don't want you writing, worse yet, putting them in your phone, right? So please don't put them in your phone. That is not a good place to keep your secure passwords. So yeah, we talk about that often.
Yeah, and obviously access is so important, and this goes both personally and if you're working for a small business, because the crooks again are so good at this. They want access to the computers. And there's a little technique that's called tailgating. I'm sure you've heard of it, but folks have it. You're walking into your business and somebody follows you in, and maybe people do come into your business, but what they're looking for is to find an unattended computer. And that's another thing. Lock it before you leave it. I mean, don't leave it even for 5 minutes, because it can be compromised.
Yeah, and for people that are struggling with that, because we get that question a lot, Jerry, where if they lock the computer, they have to close out of everything they're doing. That's not the case. Just use your Windows key on your keyboard with the letter L for lock. Windows. Yep, and it just gets you back, but it won't take you out of what you're working on. So the Windows key and L, that's just super handy before you walk away. Just Windows L, especially if you're in an area where there's people. Okay.
And again, with small business, you want to make sure your staff is trained on all of this.
Yes.
The same thing we're telling you today, you tell them. You want to, when you're talking to somebody, make that separate call to confirm it's who you think it is.
Yeah.
You talked about using a credit card. That's more protections. Debit card, not as good. Of course, the key to the credit card thing, and I talk about this in my financial literacy classes, when you use a credit card, make sure you only use it for something in your budget so you can pay it off in full. So you don't pay interest. keep that in mind. You know, caution when somebody asks you for information, unless it's something like you're in your doctor's office and, you know, for whatever reason, you do have to give them your social security number, but that's you giving it to them. That's not them calling and asking for it. Because
Right.
again, these, you know, you get caller ID that can be spoofed. You know,
Yeah.
it may look like it's from us or from your doctor's office or whatever, but it may not be. And, you know, whenever there's urgency involved, assume it's a scam and then check and make sure it's not.
Agreed. I know that these are easy steps, and we just want to make sure that you're always on the lookout. And I know that that's not part of our human nature, right? Our human nature is to be, we're people pleasers, right? We want to trust people. And unfortunately, that is becoming less and less likely. All right, thank you guys. So here's our 2024 webinar schedule. We just always put that as one of our slides. So you will be getting emails for invites on those. This is just up until July. We have the plan all the way through the year. So you will get invites. Now, while we still have Jerry, Sarah, did we get any questions from the Q&A?
No, we don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, beautiful. So I want to thank you, Jerry, so much for joining us this month. And we are super appreciative. So as usual, if you are on the call and you want any type of network assessment, we offer them for free. We will have a conversation. It's quick. I can just give you a background of what you, if we have a conversation, I can tell you what's good and what's not, and we can have a conversation about your network and do you have a firewall, are things in place? So please, that's always something we do for free. We don't charge anything for that. CST is also going to be doing some penetration tests, and Jerry, I know you know about those, and it's just kind of quarterly tests that happen to make sure that any hole within your network is patched before a hacker can get through. It's mandatory in the financial industry, so Jerry's familiar with those. We are offering those tests now as a third party. We are working with Galactic Advisors as our third party rep, so they can come in and we can run those tests. That's going to be super important for you in the future. So just reach out. We're here to help, and both Jerry and I really want to educate. That is the goal.
I'm available to come and speak to your group, any type of group, in person or via Zoom, however you want to do it, anytime. And SeaComm offers this free of charge. So if
I appreciate that, Jerry, because as we move forward, you know, we get feedback. We get feedback from those prospects that we're nurturing, and we get feedback from our client. And sometimes we might want to hook up again, just maybe towards the third or fourth quarter, just to make sure that we're answering any of those questions that you're getting feedback for. And honestly, Jerry, anytime you need us, we will be here. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate your attendance. If you have any issues, please let us know. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.